golfers, Happy New Year. Tony from My Golf Spy back again. I feel like I was here just 2 days ago, but again, we have something brand new, something exciting from Callaway Golf. I'm talking about the new Epic Flash driver. Now I'm going to go out on a limb, a very short limb in my opinion, and tell you that the Epic Flash is going to be the best-selling driver of 2019. And I say that having not seen everything on the market, but the story here is tremendous. Doesn't mean it's true, but it's a good story. And within the driver market, the rule of thumb is the best story wins, and you can bet Callaway is going to do a really good job telling it. So before we get to that though, let's talk about some of the common features between the models. We are talking about two models this year, Standard, which I'm holding, and we have a Subzero model, which more than ever before looks like the Standard model. Front weight port just like that, swing weighting purposes only. Now, the reason why they've added the weight track, the adjustable perimeter weighting to the Subzero is basically this. Callaway said people weren't really using the front to back adjustability. So golfers who were looking to add or reduce spin, add, remove launch angle, what have you, they were actually more often than not just using the hosel, going to different lofts that way versus messing with the weights. And so Callaway thought by putting the weight track in every model, they could add some versatility. Although the usage is expected to be a little bit different. The thinking is that the standard player is going to use this in the typical shot shape correction kind of fashion. So you've got a slice you're trying to get rid of or a hook you're trying to mitigate, heel, toe respectively, whereas the Subzero player is going to use the weight track to affect the starting line, right? Maybe get it to start a little bit left, start a little bit right, or is going to be looking at that last 20% of ball flight and hoping to get the ball to fall a little left, a little right. But the big story, guys, flash face technology. Now you've got this obnoxiously huge, I don't know, not really an alignment aid, I guess, but kind of center face region. That kind of tells the flash face story on the outside. On the inside, under the hood here, Callaway says there is a face unlike anything that's ever been designed before. And that's because it was designed in a way unlike anything we've seen before. Cast the humans aside, this face was designed by the machines. Guys, not see Terminator? I feel like I'm living in the prequel. Anyway, so the story behind this, Callaway kind of riding high off the success of Jailbreak, their technology, which they said provided significant increases in ball speed across more of the face. They kind of got to thinking, hey, could we leverage the face in the same way to make these giant leaps in ball speed? The issue with that is that Callaway's, like everybody else, has been iterating their face year after year and essentially applying their engineering knowledge, banging their head into the wall and achieving the same result year after year after year. And so they got to thinking, hey, would it be possible to teach a computer to design a driver face? And if we could do that, could it make one better than we can? Turns out, yeah, it could. At least that's the story. So they fired all the no, that part's not true, but they definitely feel like they have a breakthrough here. So as the computer started spitting out designs, the ball speed projections were faster than anything they'd seen from previous human designs, if you will. And so they said, what the hell, let's make a few prototypes. And sure enough, those prototypes were producing faster ball speed. But the thing is, face design, really crazy, kind of unlike anything they'd ever seen before. Instead of that typical design where it's kind of thick in the middle and then just gets progressively thinner. It's kind of like these series of bumps and ridges and, I don't know, almost sort of non-concentric circles with peaks and valleys. So when they produced these designs, they didn't initially even understand what they were working with. They didn't understand the impact of sort of changing the dimensions of certain areas. And so they made a few more prototypes to mess with, kind of gain an understanding. And when they did that, they kind of felt like they were really onto something. So they invested a ton of money in some massive computing hardware. So initially it would take 4 to 5 weeks to spit out a design. They cut that down with the new hardware to about a weekend. And to put this all in context for you, if you were to try to run this same type of thing on your laptop, it would take like 34 years, I think is the numbers. And the really interesting thing about the flash face computer generated design is that each face is unique to the body that it's attached to. So even though the standard flash and the Subzero are very close, the face design is actually different between the two. And if you could somehow sort of peel this off and stick it on another driver, you wouldn't get the same result because it really takes into account all of the different dimensions of the head and everything that goes with it. So as far as what all of this computer stuff gets you, Callaway says 1.5 to 2 miles an hour, and that is on dead nut center contact. So as most of these stories tend to be about off-center ball speed, Callaway is saying we can get you up to 2 miles an hour on your best shots. Now, their tour players are actually seeing bigger gains, up to 4 miles an hour, but keep in mind, anytime you're talking about ball speed gains, it's really kind of an exponential thing. So the slower you swing, the less you get. That is your ball speed story. Now, when we talk about ball speed and we talk about exceedingly fast ball speeds and gains year over year, the obvious, the reasonable, the fair question to ask, what about the USGA, right? What about the limits? I thought that was impossible. Look, we wrote an article about this not too long ago. It's definitely possible. There are a multitude of ways to gain speed, but in particular, what I've been told, and this is not a Callaway thing, this is something that basically every engineer I've spoken with has been solidly in agreement on. Look, CT is a nice, it's quick and it's efficient way to sort of get a rough idea of ball speed, but CT was not the old core test, and it certainly doesn't come close to replicating what happens when a driver head makes impact with a golf ball at 100+ miles an hour very often. So in the difference between dropping a pendulum device on a face and that high-speed collision, that window, that's where you have the opportunity for gains, and maybe we should explore that later in a future video. Let us know if you want us to talk about that some more. So Callaway saying 1.5 to 2 miles an hour, and I would guess that's based on about 100 mile an hour club speed. If you can get that, it's substantial. So I threw some numbers into a trajectory calculator based on 145 mile an hour ball speed and decent, though not optimal, launch conditions, and I came up with a gain plus or minus 5 yards. So that's what we're talking about 5 yards more than Rogue. That would be the story if true. Well, it is the story. I don't know if it's true, but I'm sure as hell gonna have a good time finding out. So that's kind of your ball speed story. That's the big story with Epic Flash. Now, stock shafts, right? Pretty solid lineup from Callaway. You've got the Hazardous Smoke, which is also stocked in the Cobra lineup, as well as the Titleist. You've got the Tensei AV Blue, just a popular kind of your mid-launch profile, popular in nearly every lineup. You'll see it a lot of places. From the high launch side of things, though, we have this. This is a Project X Even Flow. It's well, it's not a black, and it's not a blue. It's not anything that exists on the Project X website, and so, you know, whether you want to use the phrase made for, or Callaway's big on saying exclusive, guys, this one to me is disappointing. Look, on the high launch side, yeah, you can cut a few corners, and that's not to say that this is a bad shaft. I honestly don't know. Could be a perfectly good shaft, but there are a plethora of shafts that are commonly available that find their way into stock lineups. These profiles tend to be less expensive than a low spin profile anyway, so there's not a tremendous cost absorbed by just kind of going with what's already out there. This one feels like, you know, maybe a little bit of extra cost cutting. My personal thoughts, doesn't mean it's a bad shaft. I just felt like maybe Callaway should have done better in that regard in giving you something that you actually can kind of spec out on a manufacturer site and really know what you're getting. But hey, just my opinion, right? What they're doing seems to be working for them. So, something else interesting to talk about, the stock grip is a Golf Pride New Decade Align custom Callaway colors, right? This green and white. To my knowledge, this is the first time an Align grip has been used in a stock lineup anywhere. It's really starting to kind of trickle its way into kind of the upgrade lineup. I love this choice. I don't know that everybody's going to love it, but Callaway is able to do this in a driver because unlike just about every other one, maybe every other one on the market, their adjustability system does not reorient the shaft when you make an adjustment. So you keep your alignment. Align grip will work, which is really, really cool, I think. Lofts, right? Standard model available in 9, 10.5, and 12. Subzero 9 and 10.5. Keep in mind, every driver head, 3 different specs. It has the loft, the stated loft, what's on the hosel, the target loft, which is what loft the manufacturer is actually trying to hit. It's not always the same as what's on the hosel, and then there's the actual loft when you measure it. This one, stated loft 9, I clocked it in at about 9.8, so I'm guessing the actual target loft is 9.5 or 10. So we're gonna be right in the middle of the range, certainly well within tolerances, I would assume. that's kind of your rundown on Epic Flash. I'm going to try and get you some data kind of in the midst of the holiday season here. Not easy to do, but we'll do what we can. In the meantime, if there's anything else you want to see us cover, specific topics, questions on equipment, anything, hit me up on Twitter at GolfSpyT or leave a comment below, and we will do our best to produce something for you. We'll talk soon.